Join us. The Catholic Church is supporting the creation of state-funded Muslim schools in Scotland. It comes after one Islamic school, Al Kaloum in Glasgow, applied for public funding. It's the second school in the city to submit plans to the Scottish Government. 5 other groups are also preparing similar bids for autonomy. Shannon Frew reports.
You can use blue or green to do...
As its pupils have grown, so too has this school. 5 years ago, Al Kaloum opened with 11 youngsters. Now it teaches 60, and it wants to expand into secondary education with the help of public money.
We've got about 12 kids in primary 1.
Under the plans, the school would be run by an independent board of governors, not the council.
Whether it's pupils or whether it's staff, it's open for anyone to come in and study and anyone to come in and work here. We want the best.
The independent fee-charging primary is in Glasgow's Pollokshields, which is home to a large Muslim population. The school's director says they're responding to demand from parents.
And the advantage of using the methodology we have is we can extend curriculum for excellence.
He has ambitions of developing specialisms in computer science, artificial intelligence and Islamic education.
We are here to argue on what can we do to contribute towards Scottish education. And this is what we have. There are innovations that can be done within the education system. And we are, whether it's with our pennies or with the Scottish Government's pounds, we are going to do that.
The Catholic Church said that it supports the principle of other faith schools, but it added that they should be run in the same way as other existing primaries and secondaries, by councils. The body that represents local authorities, COSLA, say that they do an extremely good job of delivering Scottish education. Others believe public money should not be used to fund schools rooted in any faith. The foundation, which helped the school submit its business plan, is also working with parents in East Dunbartonshire who want to take over the running of a Catholic school, St Joseph's in Mulgai, which is due to be closed by the council.
What we've had to date is advanced discussions with 2 schools. Unfortunately, in some respects, they've been faith-based, which is a diversion really from the main challenge. The main challenge here is improving attainment levels in Scotland and doing the best for every individual out there.
The Scottish Government say it will respond to the proposals in due course. In its statement, it added that it will always be open to new ideas and stressed that ultimately any decision on these proposals will be based on the needs of the Scottish education system as a whole. Another group from Glasgow aimed to submit its bid for an autonomous school in January. 4 more hope to follow in the new year.
Well, we're now joined by Zubair Alvi from the Glasgow Central Mosque, who's a teacher from a Muslim school, and Spencer Files from the Scottish Secular Society. Thank you both for joining us. Zubair, why is such a school needed?
I think it's important because the Scottish Muslim community is not only an affluent community, it's a growing and strong community. And when it sees other faith groups and communities getting funding from the Scottish Government, it obviously feels as though maybe they have some right to that funding as well. And for me, you have to understand from the parents' point of view, I mean, the whole point of the Scottish Government providing education for every child is that they have surely to provide their religious needs and educational needs. And if the money is there to fund those children, then surely the parents should decide on whether or not to send their kids to a Muslim school or not.
Spencer Files, what's wrong with that argument?
I think in a sort of modern, progressive, pluralistic society that Scotland is, I think it's dividing children based on their parents' faith affiliation is fairly morally reprehensible. Now, in a secular position, they have every right to demand a faith school because faith schools exist in Scotland. But as Scottish secularists are against the existence of faith schools full stop, because we don't think it's good segregating children based on a particular faith belief of the parents.
So, some people, Zubair, would call this almost like a social apartheid. You're keeping children apart.
It's a bit strong.
OK, so it is a bit, not your particular case, but that principle of keeping children separate at a very young age. And can you see that argument?
Well, it depends on the school itself, because my experience is from the schools, the faith faith-based schools that are based in England and Wales. Now, with the Association of Muslim Schools, which is an independent group, there are 246 Muslim secondary schools in England and Wales. 246. Scotland has 0 at the moment. And for a Muslim community that wants to keep their identity, I mean, if you look at a Muslim school, all the parents want is for their children to have a good moral upbringing. They want good morals and manners to be taught to them. And if a school can provide the best of both worlds, and I don't see the argument against it.
There's obviously the case, Spencer, that, OK, there are no Muslim schools in Scotland, but there are certainly several Catholic schools in Scotland, a lot of them, and they generally do very well. There's an ethos that tends to allow children to do well in Catholic schools. Might the same not apply here, and is that not what's important ultimately?
That depends on which evidence you're looking at, and it depends on which study you're looking at as well. The evidence actually doesn't really exist. If you drill down into the detail, you may find 1 or 2 components that supersede other schools, but largely it's not really there. It's an argument that I think nowadays has been widely debunked. The biggest problem is social cohesion. The standards and expectations, I mean, I get that. Every parent wants what's absolutely best for their child. But I think as we become more self-aware of our place in the world, as we look at global conflicts, internal conflicts, and where we all stand based on different race and religion, I think actually plucking particular children out because of either their colour or because of their faith and segregating them away from the mainstream, away from everyone else, is not the right way to go about business in Scotland.
And is it not perhaps going to make it harder for integration?
I don't buy that argument at all. The reason for that is because when you have, if you're choosing to send your child to a faith-based school, regardless of whether it's Jewish or Christian or Muslim, I mean, there's 2 arguments here. One, whether it should be funded or whether they should exist in the first place. As long as the parents balance their children's lives with everything else, then there isn't an issue, really, I think. I mean, we have an example of when my parents' generation came to Scotland and to the UK, they used to look for Catholic schools to send their children to. And this was done because of the fact that they believed that Catholic and faith schools would have, like I said, better morals, manners and a way of etiquettes that are taught to children. And faith schools, if done correctly, and I know Brother Shoaib, who runs the Al Ghulam school, and he's a fantastic individual, and his whole point of view is to try and get a school that does exactly that. And if you can do it correctly, then I don't see the argument that.
Would the school be open to all children?
Of course.
And what about the staff? Would they have the same opportunities?
If it's run properly, it should be. And I don't know the particulars about Al Ghulam, unfortunately, but this is definitely the way they should go. The schools that I have seen...
Christian staff could work in such a school and progress in the school? Of course,
because the school that I was working in was an independent Muslim school in Manchester. And I worked there for 7 years. And we had staff rooms that had Muslims, non-Muslims, people of no faith. And not only that, the school itself was willing to take on pupils of a different faith. So just like I said that my parents' generation would want to send their children to a Catholic school, I mean, our hope is that Muslim schools will get to such a high standard of education that even non-Muslim children and non-Muslim parents would want to send their children to a school like that.
Spencer, as Zubair is saying, parents want this.
Yeah, they do. But parents want a lot of things for their children, and they're not necessarily right in what they ask for, or their perceptions are often poorly perceived, because what you alluded to earlier on about this overall view that faith schools seem to somehow perform better than non-faith, well, non-denominational, although there's no such thing really, because they're pretty much Protestant schools. It's a myth, and it's constantly perpetuated by what we see in the media, by religionists themselves. But when we talk about the standards, as you refer to, I mean, the school that we're actually talking about, the school inspector's comments on this particular school was very much of the case that the children were lacking in equality and diversity knowledge, and that the school was also lacking, which is more importantly, of other world faiths and other religions, and that needs to be addressed by the school.
The school obviously can't defend itself on that, but very briefly and finally on that point, if that's what the inspectors are saying, is that not cause for concern?
Oh no, of course, any faith school has to be under Ofsted or any other school inspection and regulations. I mean, you would never start up a school or give funding to a school that isn't under strict regulations. So this is what Al Ghulam are proposing. They're proposing a secondary school that's for a Muslim based and with a Muslim ethos, but it has to run with the regulations that you would have any other school run by. So if it is lacking, then it has to improve, but to give it a chance, I think, is more important.
Gentlemen, thanks both for joining us in Scotland tonight. Thank you.